Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Generation Latino podcast. My name is Paul, and I am your host. You're listening to season 3, episode 6. And I know the last 2 episodes I had Rashawn on. I interviewed her, she interviewed me. And guys, I really loved interviewing Rashawn, and I really liked being interviewed as well. It's so interesting because whenever I interview anybody on this podcast, I'm the one, kind of navigating everything. And I'm the one, I don't want to say taking charge, but I'm just the one that's kind of, I guess, in charge of the entire conversation. So it was nice. I had no idea what she was going to ask me. I knew nothing. So it was really fun to just kind of sit back and really tell my story and answer her questions. So I really hope you enjoyed those episodes. Again, Rashawn is one of my favorite people on this planet. But anyways, how are y'all doing? How's life? Is life lifing? We're in March already, which is crazy to me because I still remember like the holidays, Thanksgiving, Halloween, and Christmas. So to be here in March, I'm like, where is time going? And it's so crazy because as fast as I feel time goes, I also feel like it drags sometimes. So that's just interesting. But did any of y'all watch the Olympics? I was obsessed with the Olympics this year. So I've always been a big fan of the athletes uniting and being in that competitive zone. So I really love the Summer and the Winter Olympics. And I was obsessed with the figure skating. And what was funny was that I posted a lot of videos on my TikTok, on the Generation Latino TikTok. So if you haven't, follow me on TikTok. I post just videos and random things and clips of the show and whatnot. But I was posting a lot of videos of the figure skaters and a lot of the routines that I liked, and the people who won gold and even those who didn't win. But the amount of critiques that I got in the comments was so funny to me. Like, I'm like, when did everyone become a judge? Like, when did everyone's voice just become so negative as well? I had posted a video of people who won gold, and there were people who were like commenting, like, they don't deserve gold, and they're this and that. And I'm like, when did everyone become an expert in something that they don't do? It's funny to me. Like, I personally don't care. Like, I'll post something and people will put mean things. And because what I talk about, right? I talk about a lot of topics that are not popular sometimes. I know for me, I had posted a video of me being excited about Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl, and then I posted like my thoughts afterwards. And you know, it's so interesting to me the amount of hate someone can have towards someone's opinion, right? Like, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just voicing my thoughts and how much I love the Super Bowl performance and what it meant for representation. And people were like just being so mean. And I guess the word is hateful. I mean, it's a strong word, but I mean, they weren't being positive. But again, I don't mind people being like that. I've always had a lot of noise around me. I remember when I was younger, sorry, I know I'm still doing the introduction, but when I was younger in high school, my senior year, I had won Homecoming King. And, the student body voted. It was what it was. It was the popularity contest, right? So, anyways, I won Prom King. Well, sorry, I won Homecoming King. I also did win Prom King though as well, but I won Homecoming King. And this was in the fall of my senior year. That's when I really first experienced like people just hating and being mean and rude and just like not happy for you. I remember one time somebody made a comment online. Social media was a thing too when I was in high school, but somebody made a comment and they were like, "Oh, you only won because you're gay." I'm like, "What?" Like, okay, sure, because I'm gay. No, bitch, I'm just more popular than you, right? Like, I'm nicer than you. I don't know. People like the things that people say to sometimes I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who wakes up miserable every morning and hateful? Like, so it does not bother me. I've been called a faggot. I've been called horrible names from when I was growing up to even now. So like trolls online, I'm like, please, whatever. It doesn't bother me, but I think it's funny to me. But yeah, I've always had people just kind of sometimes be negative towards me, but it is what it is. I don't mind it. And if you're out there listening and people are negative towards you, pay them no mind. It's like RuPaul, the song. Oh, these bitches are not paying my bills, so why do I give two shits about them? But anyways, enough about that. I know I went off on a tangent, but anyways, I hope y'all are doing great. I hope the year is going good for you. I hope that y'all's goals are, in the making, and I hope y'all's fitness goals are going and your career goals, all of that stuff. I really hope it's going. But I wanted to let y'all know that if y'all are not following me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, to please follow me. My audience has been growing a lot, but a lot of my listeners are not subscribed to me, like on Spotify or Apple Music. So make sure you're subscribed. Leave a comment if you'd like, or if you want to, you can leave a review. But it's really nice to see the amount of countries that this podcast is going into. It is really mind boggling to me, like Australia, Russia, like it is the Czech Republic, like Japan is one of my top places. But anyways, thank you all as well. Like seriously, it truly means a lot to me that y'all are listening to the podcast and that y'all are connecting. And again, guys, feel free to email me at generationlatinopodcast@gmail.com if you have any topics that you want me to talk about, anything that you want me to bring up. I am not stuck on one way of doing things. Like I take critique, I take criticism. I don't like judgment because with judgment comes kind of cruelty at the end. But, let me know if you want to hear a topic. But again, it's March and we're going to do a quick episode. We're not going to be talking too long, but today we're going to talk about Women's History Month. Like I said, anyone who knows me knows that I am a champion of women. I love encouraging women. I will always be an advocate for women. I grew up with a single mom, a strong grandmother, an aunt, two sisters, and a lot of my friends are women. So I am always going to champion for women. So today we're just going to talk briefly about Women's History Month, about some very strong, powerful women that I have looked up to in history and in sports and whatnot. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So I really hope you enjoy this episode. From silence to strength, celebrating Women's History Month. I hope you enjoy, guys. All right, guys. So before I get started with the episode, I was thinking about famous women in history that I wanted to talk about. So there's a lot of famous women in history, in politics, in entertainment, in sports, but I had to narrow it down because if not, I would be here for 5 hours talking about all the amazing women on this planet that are still here, that are not here, that have really pushed the boundary. And I'm going to give you a brief story of why I'm such a passionate advocate for women, not just during Women's History Month. I know we highlight it in the month of March, but when I was younger, I was a young gay boy, and the people that always were there for me were girls. And they were always protecting me from the bullies, from the guys. I always felt safe around girls growing up because they protected me and they made me feel safe. They made me feel heard, and they just made me feel like I mattered growing up. Because when you grow up as a young gay boy, you know, the jocks call you names and you're different. You're a little bit more feminine. You like other things that girls like. And because of that, and because we live in this machismo world, if if a young boy is not thinking like a man, what do you call them? Again, I was talking earlier, being called a faggot, horrible names, but it was always girls that protected me and that kept me safe. So when I got older and I became a man and I became somebody with a voice and somebody with an education and somebody who knows who they are, and I saw a lot of women around me fall to men. I have, and I always was like, wait a minute, y'all protected me growing up. So I have a lot of friends that I've experienced a lot of things with, from DV, domestic violence, to, abortions, to breakups and heartbreak and all of that. Because as a gay man, I have a lot of girlfriends from all different backgrounds, all different races and ages. But the common ground with me is that 98% of the time, I'm their confidant. I'm the friend that they call when they need help, when they need someone, when their boyfriends kicked them out of the vehicle and they're stranded on the streets, when they're having an abortion and they need help and they need just guidance. They need a sounding board. When their partner beat them up and they don't have anyone to go to. It breaks my heart that women have to go through this every day. And the fact that men abuse them, let's be honest, we're going to stick to the statistics. The truth is that the majority of DV cases come from men who beat their partners, their girlfriends, their wives. It's sad, right? So we hear all these things in the news, to Diddy, to OJ, and so as a young boy, I grew up listening to like Goodbye Earl from the Chicks and Independence Day from Martina McBride. All of these songs dealt with domestic violence, and I grew up in DV. I grew up with that. My father was abusive towards my mother. I saw it. So as I became older and I was able to do things on my own, I was like, "Oh hell no. No woman in my life is ever going to be treated like shit. They're not going to be, second best to anyone." No, so I've always been a champion of women. I've always have. So it means a lot to me to stand up for women, and I will continue to stand up for women. But that's a little bit of my backstory on why I'm such a champion for women. All right. So as I was kind of winding down to the list of women, famous women, I came down to this list. You may agree, you may disagree, but it wasn't easy for me, but I had to settle in on a list, but I'm very proud of the list. So history isn't shaped by one type of woman. It's shaped by bold ones, quiet ones, rule breakers, and barrier breakers. Women like Kamala Harris, who shattered one of the highest glass ceilings in American politics, becoming the first woman vice president of the United States. And in a completely different arena, someone like Serena Williams, who didn't just dominate tennis, she changed how the world sees strength, motherhood, and excellence in women, especially Black women. And then there's courage, the quiet kind, the kind that changes history without shouting, like Rosa Parks, whose refusal to give up her seat helped ignite the civil rights movement. And power doesn't always look political. Sometimes it's reinvention, like one of my personal favorites, Tina Turner, who turned pain into purpose and built a legacy of resilience. Or it could be disruption. Or it could be disruption, like Madonna, who redefined what it meant for women to control their image, their voice, and sexuality in entertainment. And then there's representation. The moment someone sees themselves where they never could before, like Rita Moreno, who broke barriers in Hollywood and showed Latina women they belonged on the biggest stages. Okay, so choosing these women were not easy for me. They were not. I had a list and I was going back and forth. What I wanted to do was kind of get a woman from kind of every different platform. So in politics, right? My very first episode on this podcast, season 1, episode 1, was about the election and Kamala Harris and how much it broke my heart that she didn't get the win and whatnot. But that woman represents millions of other women. She's intelligent. She's savvy. She does so much, and it hurt me. It did, that she did not win the presidential election. But the work that she's doing right now is truly phenomenal. And I truly believe that she is not done yet. I believe that. I really, really do. And then there's Serena Williams, right? I grew up playing tennis. I've been playing tennis for over 20 plus years. And I was always fascinated by Serena because I'm going to be honest, she was playing tennis in a white man's world. She was. She still gets shit. The way that the men and women can act is different than her. She does anything wrong, it's a big deal. They want to make it a big topic and they want to treat her different. And let's be honest, it's because she's a black woman. And not just because she's a black woman, it's because she is a black woman on top. She is, by far, the greatest female tennis player of all time. She has won the most Grand Slams in open history than any other woman out there. So, because of that, she's a target. Because of that, she can't voice herself. And what I love about Serena Williams, and I know she's very polarizing, but what I love about her is that she understands the power she has and she understands what needs to be done. And it may always look like she's rude sometimes. It may look like sometimes she's doing, she's playing by her own rules, but you have to when you're at the top. You have to. I don't think people understand that. But, I've worked in the tennis industry for some time. And the amount of segregation that is still there is sad and ridiculous. So then you have Rosa Parks, right? We all learned about her in school. I think maybe I was in the 3rd or 4th grade when I learned about Rosa Parks. And what I love about Rosa Parks is that, like I said earlier, she stood in her silence, right? I think sometimes people feel they got to be loud and bold and scream and yell. And the fact that she just didn't give up her seat. She did not give up her seat because she felt in her heart that she also belonged there. And I tell people all the time, this wasn't that long ago when segregation was a thing, when there was different water fountains for different colors, different bathrooms, whites only, blacks only. Like, that was not that long ago. And how poised Rosa Parks was, truly remarkable. Truly, truly remarkable. And I know some people are trying to erase history. You can't erase Rosa Parks. I'm sorry. You can't. It won't happen. We won't let it happen. But I love what she represents for women, for all women. And then we have Madonna. Look, I love Madonna. She's been called a diva, a bitch. She plays by her own rules. I mean, what she has allowed women to do in entertainment, I'm sorry. If there was no Madonna, there would be no Gaga, no Britney. Who's the new one? What's the Sabrina Carpenter? Like, none of these girls would be a thing. Like, Madonna, and I don't think people realize how many doors she opened up. And if you haven't seen the documentary Truth or Dare, I highly recommend it. I've talked about it before. Watch it. It is a masterclass on how to own who you are as a woman. Truly remarkable. But love that movie. So good, so good. It's a documentary. I call it movie. So good. And I knew at a young age, I was kind of obsessed with Madonna growing up, and she was way before. I mean, I wasn't even born when she first came out, but there was something about her that I was like, ooh, I like her. I want to be like her. And I basically am. I'm just kidding. But another one, too, is Tina Turner. Tina Turner is another great example for women representation. Oh, she was in an abusive relationship And they show it in the movie. She talks about the abuse that she endured with her ex-husband, Ike, and the fact that she reinvented herself. And I always tell women this: when you get out of something that is bad, whether it's a relationship, a job, parents treating you shitty when you were a child, you can reinvent yourself. You can start from page one again. You don't have to feel like you need to just start off where you left off at. Start again. Chapter one, here we go again. Your book is not over until your last breath. Remember that. Tina Turner was in her 40s when What's Love Got to Do with It came out, the Grammy Award winning song. She reinvented herself. She could have easily have said, you know what? My life in music is over. I was with my ex. I'm done. No, what she truly, what she did was heroic. You know, she had that fighter spirit in her, and she reinvented herself. And her second act in life is beautiful to watch. Another person, Rita Moreno. She was the first Latina to ever win an Oscar, and she won the Oscar for West Side Story. And I think a lot of times it's hard to dream of things when you don't see anyone like you in those positions. So before Rita Moreno, there was no Latinas really on stage winning awards like that, winning the Oscar. That was groundbreaking. I don't think people understand that a Latina woman winning an Oscar, what that meant. It meant that other young Latinas could do it. There would be no Jennifer Lopez, no Salma Hayek, no Eva Longoria. None of those women would be here if it wasn't for Rita Moreno. And I love watching her interviews. She's very aware of the change that she made. And it's hard sometimes. It is so hard sometimes to envision something when you don't see it in front of you, right? It's like, you know, I want to be something, but I don't see anyone doing it. So what do you do? Do you continue with it? Rita Moreno never saw anyone like her. So how do you keep going? You know, so we really got to thank these women who have really paved the way. Every generation has the women who fight the system and who redefine the culture. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a fun little segment, and we're going to go trailblazer or rule breaker. All right. So Rosa Parks. In my opinion, she was a trailblazer. Madonna. I think she was a rule breaker. And because she broke those rules, we have the artists that we have now. We have the women who are able to be themselves sexually, emotionally. You know, we have that. Serena Williams, I think she's both. I think she's a trailblazer, and I think she's a rule breaker. You know why? Because she plays by her own rules. She has rewritten the history books. Kamala Harris, she's a trailblazer. What we are witnessing right now with Kamala Harris, people will be learning about her hundreds of years from now. And, you know, people like Tina Turner, rule breaker. She didn't say at 40 years old she was done. She broke that rule and said, you know what? I could be sexy at 40. Hey, I can be a private dancer at 45. Do it. Rita Moreno, trailblazer. Again, first Latina woman ever to win an Academy Award. So, you know, again, this is a short episode, and I really just wanted to talk about Women's History Month because, again, I think it needs to be acknowledged. I think it needs to be talked about more. And women's history isn't one story. It's a collection of courage lived out in different arenas and the impact still shaping the world today. And I wanted to ask you, who are some of the women that you find to help you out? For me, I named the women that helped me, and I still look up to these women. And there's a ton of other women, but these are the women that I wanted to talk about in this episode because I always am finding encouragement through women because, again, I was raised by a single mom. I have two sisters, my grandmother, my aunt. I was just surrounded by women. And I love that I was surrounded by women. All right, guys. So I want to thank you for tuning in. And if you like this episode, feel free to share it, like it, give it a review. Also, for all the women out there listening, first of all, I know it's hard being a woman in 2026, but know that you are capable of doing anything that you want to do. Continue fighting and continue to fight for what you want. It's the only way it's going to happen. And don't let any fucking man, I don't care if it's your husband, your father, the president, whoever it is, do not let any man tell you what you're worth and what you can and cannot do. You need to own your power. Anyways, I love you all, guys. Until next time.